Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever or wherever you're listening to this. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I am your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy. Joining me today, now that he's done power bombing Tom Wilson through a comprehensive Chinese buffet table, is our single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today?
I mean, the Rangers went out and got toughness for the Caps, and they didn't even do anything. So, just burn it down already.
I mean, we'll talk about the Rangers later, but I think people are a little bit down on New York off of one game. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Just wanted to give a quick thank you to Yahoo Fantasy. Yahoo Fantasy Sports is sponsoring our show today. We do have a little not a giveaway, a little promo from them. We'll talk about that later. Thanks to Yahoo. Before we dive into everything, while we're just getting things going, if you guys could throw us a like and a subscribe, especially a subscription here. Really helps grow the channel, really helps keep these shows coming. I mean, we have offers, we have giveaways, we have a whole bunch of stuff coming almost every day here, whether it's on the hockey channel or whether we're doing PGA or NFL or whatever it is. So be sure to like and subscribe. And we do have some premium tools and data up on the site today. We have our Thursday night football top plays. Anybody playing the Thursday night football showdown slate tonight. And we also have MLB showdown single game ownership projections. Game 5 between the Giants and the Dodgers tonight. So we have some MLB and we have some NFL tools up on the site. If you guys want to check it out, see what we're all about before diving into subscription. All right, let's talk about last night real quick. I saw you cash, Josh. Good for you. I got absolutely smoked because I had only one lineup with Alex Ovechkin in it, and Ovechkin had a 4-point night. So he was in the winning lineups all across the board, put up nearly 40 DK points. Anything stick out to you last night outside of Ovechkin going absolutely nuclear?
That it doesn't matter if it's a 27 game slate, McDavid's going to be 25% owned regardless. Like, it's just going to happen. He could be 12,400 on a 9-game slate. He's still going to be owned. Just the name value.
Yeah, honestly, like, I don't have the numbers to back this up, but one thing I just do in my head is like whatever we have for projection for McDavid, I usually just add like 10% because people are just like, a lot of people will just slam him in because it's a name they know. Like, we went through this with Ovechkin like 5 years ago. Like, Ovechkin would be like 50% owned every slate because, you know, he was scoring 50 goals, taking 5 shots a game, and he was the name everybody knew. I think we're running into that with McDavid here. So yeah, he was over 50% owned in the 20 max last night on a 5-game slate, just to give you a little taste of what his ownership will be like for most of the season. Min price guys got there. We had Andre Kasha as a play. He got there, shot on goal bonus, almost got the combo meal. Bowen Byram, goal and an assist for Colorado. How are we going to treat these Colorado defensemen? Because, you know, on the show yesterday with Jake, I said, you know, Byram and Makar both in play for me, but obviously they're completely different ends of the pricing spectrum. So how do you handle a situation like that?
It just depends on my build. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm going to slam in some Colorado power play, I think, you know, it's going to be hard to fit Makar, and Byram makes sense. But on the opposite end of that spectrum, if Byram keeps having games like that, he's going to get priced up really quickly. But for now, you know, a way to get, I don't want to say contrarian, because like on a smaller slate with McKinnon back, you know, Colorado power play is going to be popular, but paying up for Makar is a good way probably to get different there, because people are just going to gravitate towards Byram with the savings and try to, you know, differentiate a bit elsewhere. So sometimes paying up for a defenseman is a good way to get a lower owned on like the 3 or 4 players you have in the same stack.
Yeah, we'll talk about one of those situations, I think, a little bit later in Tampa Bay. I think we might have a similar situation between Hedman and Sergachev, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's start with these games. We'll get to our first game of the night. We have the Montreal Canadiens with a 3.0 implied goal total going into Buffalo. The Buffalo Sabres have a 2.6 implied goal total. Buffalo is, this is their home opener, first game of the season. Montreal played last night, so this is back-to-back for the Habs. They already announced Sam Montembeault is starting for the Habs. Now, if anybody's not familiar with Sam Montembeault, there's probably good reason for that. He was, I think, the 5th goalie in Florida behind Bobrovsky, Spencer Knight, Chris Driedger, and another one of their rookies. Like, I'm pretty sure Montembeault was no higher than 4th in the Florida pecking order, which is why he's now in Montreal. needless to say, he's not a top end goalie. But this is the Buffalo Sabres. They have a fairly low total, not a lot of exciting players, but they are very cheap, and there are a lot of expensive players also on this slate. So what do you see here, Josh?
I'm surprised that the Sabres actually have a 2.6 goal total. Like, to me, I thought it was going to be like 2.1, 2.2. 2.6 is a bit interesting, and it kind of reflects in the ownership here. You're looking at the Tage Thompson line. Like, the Awesemo projects them around 9-10%, which is a bit shocking for me. I'm kind of out on Buffalo tonight. I know it's a back-to-back, and Montembeault is an unknown, but, you know, Montreal's pretty deep despite having injury problems. Like, they're obviously a better team. It is a back-to-back, but we kind of got desensitized to back-to-backs last year with like, oh, you know, this is the 4th game in a row. They're in Ottawa. So, you know, we're kind of desensitized to it. But on a 9-game slate, you know, targeting a back-to-back could be good, but I just can't get behind the Sabres here. Like, I don't mind Olofsson at 3,400 on the top power play, but he's coming in around 10%. Like, I just can't play a Buffalo Sabre on a 9-game slate at 10%. And then on the flip side, like, I kind of like Montreal again tonight. Like, it's Craig Anderson in that. Like, Craig Anderson's 647 years old. Yeah, Montreal's on a back-to-back, but like, this Buffalo team probably would have to like go on a hot streak just to make the playoffs in the AHL. So like, these ownership percentages are so low, 9%. I think in GPPs, like, especially if you're making 20 plus lineups, I think you can have you know, Montreal one. They're coming in around 3-4%. Like, they're fully correlated on the power play. There's no defensive matchup that the Sabres are going to throw at them that's threatening. So like, I like that line. Montreal too, they're cheaper than they were yesterday, and they had the only goal against Toronto. Now they get Craig Anderson in net with a blue line that's not even close to as good. So I think you can go there. And obviously, Brandon Gallagher is going to be a popular target, top power play, 3,400. It's one of the biggest misprices on the slate. He's going to be popular in cash for good reason. So I think there's a lot to like on this Canadian side. And in GPPs at this ownership, I think, especially if you're MMEing, that you got to get some pieces here.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Gallagher. Ice time down a little bit from where we'd normally expect him, given that he's on the 3rd line, but he played 14 and a half minutes. I mean, he's a guy that can actually put up 5 shots in that amount of ice time. So, yeah, I agree with you. One thing I will mention about his PP time, the last power play last night, they put Jonathan Drouin on and took Gallagher off. So we just won't know until after the game starts who's actually on the top power play unit. Like, I'm with you. I'm going to assume it's still Gallagher because they had him there for most of the game and they just had Drouin for one 1 minute shift. So it's just something to mention. But like, I'm with you. Like, on the show yesterday, I said I was going to wait to see how good Montreal 2 looked. They looked pretty good yesterday. Like, I thought they were their best line against Toronto. And like you said, there's not a whole lot of ownership here on them. And again, like you said, it's Craig Anderson. He got ran out of Ottawa. That should tell you about the quality of goaltending that this team has right now. So I'm not full stacking Montreal anywhere, I don't think, but there are one-offs I do like. Like, I do like one-offing Josh Anderson. I do, like you mentioned, Brendan Gallagher. I think he's a good one-off. I mean, Brett Kulak, I think he was a good play yesterday. He's definitely not a good play today. His price came up quite a bit. We'll get to defensemen in a second. On the Buffalo side, I don't mind Middlestat and Skinner. My problem is that they're coming in way too high owned. Like, even at like 6 or 7%, that's too high owned for me for Buffalo on a 9-game slate. So I'm going to have some Skinner here tonight, but it's probably going to be more of the one-off variety. So I think that's all I'm going to be having all over this game is one-offs, Jeff Skinner, Brendan Gallagher, Josh Anderson, those types of things. On the blue line, there just isn't a whole lot to get excited about. I mean, Rasmus Dahlin, obviously, if you're playing Buffalo, he's fine for 3,700. I think Ben Sherratt with his minutes is okay for 3,800. Anybody else stick out to you?
I mean, David Savard had like 4 or 5 block shots last night. So if you think he's going to do that again, you want a bonus, I think that's fine. But there's so many good value defensemen tonight. Like, in the mid 3s, I think there's way better options than, Savard and Sherratt.
Yeah, okay. And I assume we're not playing $8,000 Sam Montembeault on the road.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're like 150 max and you just correlate with your Montreal. But goalies in this game, I'm, throwing up the garlic and scare away the vampires and move on.
Yeah, throw up the crucifix, put some garlic around. No Buffalo goalies on this site. All right, let's move it along. Let's get to our next game. We have Toronto with a 3.6 implied goal total going into Ottawa. Ottawa has a 2.8 implied goal total. Toronto, again, one of the teams that played yesterday, so it's a back-to-back for them. Again, no Austin Matthews. Ottawa's going to be without Brady Tkachuk, even though he finally signed his new contract today. Tim Stützle on the top line with Drake Batherson and Josh Norris for Ottawa. Toronto has one of the higher totals on the slate with the 3.6, but it's on the road with a back-to-back. But it is the Ottawa Senators missing their best forward. What do you think here, Josh?
It's going to be interesting to see how they line match, because with Brady Tkachuk there, they usually sent them out against top comp. You know, the Leafs are missing Marner here, or not Marner. Well, he's sometimes absent on the ice, but so I kind of like this top line for Ottawa tonight. Stützle and Norris, Batherson. They're fully correlated on the power play. Leafs are on a back-to-back. They're not fully healthy yet. They don't have a great defensive line yet. Like when it was like Matthews, Marner, Thornton, like last year, they were kind of slow paced, but their offensive numbers were ridiculous and their defense numbers were good. But like Nick Ritchie on the top line doesn't inspire defensive confidence. Bunting is a nice offensive player, not great defensively. Kerfoot is your 2C, not great. So like, regardless of the line matching, I think, at the ownership, like for 3-4% on Ottawa one here, fully correlated, I think, you can do it. Like the Toronto blue line, they didn't make vast improvements from last year, and, they can be had. So I kind of like this Ottawa top line. Moving down the lineup, not much else I really like. If you want to, one off of Connor Brown because he's on the top power play, I think that's fine. And then on the Toronto side, you're looking at the Awesemo top stacks tool. They have Toronto 1 as the top stack of the night, and it's a pretty decent leverage spot because they're it's a little bit under leveraged because they have a 21% chance to the top 2 stack and a 22% ownership. So, you kind of make a decision there. Like for me with that ownership, I'm going to fade. If it was Austin Matthews, yeah, maybe I consider it. But with Tavares there on a back-to-back at that ownership, I think I'm going to fade. Where I like this game, maybe a little one-offs is a Bunting or a Nylander going to go after that second line. Because after, if you assume Norris is going to go up against Tavares, after that, the Ottawa depth and defense gets a really, really shaky. So I think, that second line, even Andre Kasha, again, still min-priced. I think there's some one-offs you can like from the Toronto side.
Yeah, Andre Kasha, we're going to mention him again. He was min-priced yesterday, 6 shots, 2 blocks. He's min-priced again today in what should be a better matchup. So Andre Kasha definitely on our radar again. I'm with you on Ottawa 1. I like them here tonight, flat out. Like Tim Stützle, he might be as good as Brady Tkachuk. Like we don't really know yet. Like Stützle just finished his first season as an 18-year-old in the NHL. And he had a lot of positive metrics. I was looking like positive shot metrics and shots off passes and movement and stuff like that. So I think he could do well on that line. And like you said, at that ownership, I'm probably going to take a stab. Toronto 1, I'm staying away from. Like we mentioned yesterday on the show, when Mitch Marner's on the ice without Austin Matthews, and this goes back 3 years, and it's a sample of over 1,000 minutes, his on-ice expected goals rate cuts in half, like literally half. Like it's just Austin Matthews is too big of a driver to, only get like $2,000 savings off the line or something like that. And they're coming in over 20% on the road on a 9-game slate. Like, yeah, that's just a hard pass for me. I'm with you. I like Toronto too a lot more. I don't mind full stacking them. We do have them over leveraged a little bit here on our top stacks tool, but I'm with you. I still think it's a great matchup. If they come in at like 5 or 6%, I really don't care. I do like Toronto 2 here tonight. So Ottawa 2, I just want to mention Shane Pinto. He was one of those prospects that divided people. Some people thought he could be like a future superstar. Some people thought he'd be out of the NHL by 25. He looked good at the end of the season last year, and he looked good all preseason. So, if you want to dive down to Ottawa 2, I wouldn't hate that, but I think I would just stick with Ottawa 1 with all that power play exposure. They're going to get, 19, 20 minutes and all that good stuff. So that's where I am in this game. Ottawa 1, Toronto 2. On the blue line, like guys like Sandin and Artem Zub, I find are too expensive. I think Jake Muzzin is perfectly fine on DraftKings at 4,500. Morgan Riley, I guess if you want to correlate or something at 4,900 is okay. I wouldn't play him as a one-off. What do you think about the blue line?
Yeah, I'm not, enthusiastic on the Toronto side. On the Ottawa side, Zub is too expensive, unfortunately. Zaitsev, again, he gets some secondary power play time, but there's so many guys in that price range on the top power play that I think I would pass. Tomas Chabot, if you're doing Ottawa one, I think makes the most sense. Does get a little pricey, but I think you can still do it.
Yep. All right. I agree with you. Before we go too much further, I see a super chat here from Nick Angel. He says, "What's up, boys? I got to head to work, so I'm going to ask out of order. Thoughts on TB2 tonight? I'm really liking it. Sorry for asking about a game later. It is a later game because you are going to work. I'll give you my thoughts on TB2 tonight. I really like them. I like them a lot. It looks like they're going to be matched up into Detroit's second line, and I think they're just going to shred Detroit's second line. So I really like Tampa Bay 2 isn't one of my favorite secondary lines. Like I do like Florida 2, Columbus 2 as well, but they'd be definitely amongst my top 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think I like them better than Tampa Bay 1, like as a full line. I don't know. I'm just big on Anthony Cirelli. I think he's a very good player. He's under 4,000. I know he doesn't get top power play time, but I just like his game.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thanks, Nick, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. We do look at the chat. It's just we have 9 games today, and we really do have to press to get through them, but we really do appreciate your guys' support here at Awesemo. If you guys want to get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there, you can get an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for just $29.95. It includes full access to all our premium content and tools on awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, premium Slack chat, lineup builder, and a whole lot more. If you're a new user of Awesemo Plus Platinum, then you can take advantage of the promo code we have for this show, which is PGA Live Before Lock, all caps, one word. No? It was on anyways. All right. I guess that's not one of our reads for. Okay. Well, all right. Well, we're gonna have to insert this a little bit later. We're just gonna jump to the next game then. Pittsburgh 2.8 implied goal total going into Florida. Florida 3.7 implied goal total. I mentioned to Josh before the show that Florida 2 is probably my favorite line on the whole slate. They're actually, by my numbers, the best value line that I've had so far this season. So Josh, talk me out of just a buttload of Florida 2 tonight.
I can't do it. I won't talk you out of it. I'll add some oil to the fire here. I really like the Florida Panthers tonight. It's not going to be a secret. They have a 3.7 total. They're going up against the Penguins. Tristan Jarry, you torched him on opening night, and he ended up being like the only goalie that scored well. But you got to go back to the well here. Verhaeghe, Barkov, Reinhart's great line, but like they're going to get the Carter. I mean, it's not even like the top, like, oh, Crosby's not there, no Malkin. But Barkov's going to get the top comp. This Bennett, Huberdeau, Tippett line, they're so much cheaper, and they're going to get Evan Rodriguez. Like, Evan Rodriguez, not very good. If Sam Bennett is as good as he was at the end of last season, 4,200 is an egregious misprice. 5,300 on Huberdeau, egregious misprice. And Owen Tippett's not just some random guy. Like, he's actually pretty good. I know he's not on the top power play, but again, like, if you want to get a bit different, how we always talk about the Panthers, like even last year, like if you want to start with a Barkov and then do like a Huberdeau Bennett with them or Reinhardt, like the power play here is really like what I'm going to focus on. But I'm going to have some Florida 1, but mostly I'm going to have some Florida 2. And then on the Pittsburgh side, I'm not going to be full stacking anyone. Jeff Carter's price somehow went up after last game. I guess really like the only thing I kind of like is one-offing like a Kapanen at 3,500 or a Danton Heinen at 3,300. But really, like this is a Panthers game for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. One thing I want to mention about Pittsburgh is that Jake Gensel's off the COVID list, right? He was taken off. He's practiced twice, I think, with him. I haven't seen an update so far yet today, but it wouldn't surprise me if Gensel played tonight, right? Like off the COVID list, I think was on Sunday, practice Monday, practice yesterday. So I think Gensel has a shot of playing tonight. Just watch for warmups. Like, I don't have a whole lot to add here. Florida 2, like I said earlier, is my favorite value line. It's the best value line I've had in my numbers for the entire season so far. If we look at our top stacks tool, they are starting to come up a lot in ownership. So I think what I'm going to do a lot with Florida is mix in some top line guys. So I'll do like Barkov, Bennett, Huberdeau, Reinhart, Barkov, Bennett, those types of things, is because I want to get as much as that Florida top six in this game as I want. Not as much, but they're probably going to be my highest exposure. Florida's going to be my highest exposure. And they probably will be for a lot of people, because this is a 6.5 total, right? And it's something that we've talked about before, how the high total games usually draw the ownership. Third line, I do like Frankfurt Toronto as a little one-off. I think that Florida third line is a little bit underrated. On the blue line, I've noticed if you're correlating Letang with the top guys, that's fine. Ekblad with the top guys, that's fine. Gustav Forsling sticks out to me. Under 4K on DraftKings. He's going to be the primary puck mover after Ekblad and Weegar, who are both on the same pair together. So, if they score any goals without, those two on the ice, it's probably going to, Forsling's probably going to be around somehow.
Yeah, and if you're not, power play stacking with Ekblad, I think Forsling's the guy that makes sense. He's probably going to see a decent amount of 5-on-5 time with that second line. So, yeah, I agree there. On the Pittsburgh side, outside of Letang, who is overpriced, I don't know. John Marino was like 4,300 on opening night. He's down to 2,600. Gets secondary power play time if you're using Pittsburgh, I guess. But I'm really not high in Pittsburgh tonight.
Okay, fair enough. Just a quick check. The ad read I was supposed to do earlier was for NHL. Now, if you want to get into some NHL DFS, you can use the promo code crosscheck. That's crosscheck, all one word, all caps at checkout, and you get 75% off your first week of Awesemo plus NHL. That gives you access to our player projections, ownership projections, top stacks, lineup builder, premium Slack channel, all that stuff. The link is in the description below the video. The offer is valid through October 18th. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. All right, let's get to our next game. Dallas, 2.8 implied goal total. New York Rangers, 3.1 implied goal total. The Rangers got beat 5-1 last night, but Vitek Vanacek, statistically speaking, had by far the best goaltending performance of any goalie last night. The Rangers were expected to score over 4 goals, and they scored 1. Vanacek saved the Capitals, mathematically speaking, over 3 goals. He was outstanding last night. So that's why I said earlier in the show that I think people are going to be down on the Rangers for what happened last night, but I don't think that game was as bad as it looked. I think it was a couple breakdowns. Justin Schultz's power play goal, it was a bomb from the point that deflects off Mika Zibanejad sticking in. That's just bad luck. I think the score looked worse than the game actually was, and I'm hoping that drives some people off the Rangers. So what do you think about your Rangers tonight here, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned in the chat yesterday with Gallant, they actually back checked for the first time in years. When Dan Quinn was the coach, I didn't see a back check. They played okay. I mean, I understand wanting to get Igor in net at the home opener. Georgiev isn't a slouch, so I would prefer Igor to start yesterday, but I get it. The one thing I did notice, Capo Caco looks like a man. He was a boy. He looked like skinny Captain America a few years ago. Now he's filled out. He looks like he just needs to start finishing some chances. But 3,300 on that second line with Panarin and Strome, he's going to get there one of these slates. And I want to get in on that before he gets up to 5K. You know what I mean? I kind of like Rangers 2 tonight, Strome, Panarin, Kako. I know they're on a back-to-back, but it's, not as concerning to me as it was, in years past. And it's the second game of the season. These people are, these are professional athletes. They should be fresh on the second game of the season. Also, Jason Robertson's out, and I would imagine the Zibanejad line, not great defensively. He's going to get the Sagan, Ben Radulov line. So, that second line is going to get Hintz, Pavelski, and Peterson. Pavelski, not great defensively. He's also a dinosaur. So I don't mind that second line. If you want some of the first line, that's fine. It's just, I'm kind of in a wait and see mode there. Kreider's on the other side for the first time in his career. Lafreniere, still trying to find his footing. Mika's overpriced a tad. So for me, it's Rangers 2. On the Dallas side, if you want to, is there any line in DFS over the 5 years that like got higher ownership and was like underwhelmed more than old Dallas 1? Like, it's just like when I see them together, I'm like, oh, we got to play them. But then they always disappoint. But this might be a decent spot. Like, the advantage online, not great defensively. They are going to see Fox, which is a bit concerning, and Igor's in net. But I think at their ownership right now, we have them like 1-2%. I think you can take some GPP stabs. That second line, they're kind of cheap with Peterson there. But, I probably stick to just like a Hintz Pavelski 2-man, but they're a bit overpriced for me. So really, I don't like too much from this game. I think, they're more MME lines for me.
Yeah. I think that the interesting thing for me about Dallas too, Hintz, Pavelski, Peterson, is that it looks like they're all correlated on the power play together. And the Rangers were heavily penalized last year. They took their fair share of penalties last night. We saw their power play be, or penalty kill, be, let's say, underwhelming. And I think, that's something Dallas could take advantage of. And the nice thing about that Hintz and Pavelski line is it looks like they're getting Klingberg as their power play defenseman rather than Heiskanen. And I think Klingberg is much better suited to be like a distributor on the power play than Heiskanen is. So I do like that Dallas second line here tonight. But I'm with you. Also like the Rangers second line. So I'm on both second lines here tonight. Dennis Gurianov is the guy that's interesting me here. He's by himself on the third line. He's not going to get a ton of ownership, but he's a guy that I think makes a great one-off. He's not expensive. He gets power play time, and I think he's turning into one of the better like goal scorers in hockey. He's just unheralded right now. So I like Gurianov as a one-off. What do you like for defensemen in this game? We have to mention Miro Heiskanen. Looks like a mispricing on DraftKings at 3,800.
Oh yeah, if you're using any kind of DAS power play, you got to put him in. He's fine as a one-off for me at 3,800. Klingberg 5,500. I guess you can correlate with Dallas too if you're going there in GPPs. Other than that, maybe a Ryan Suter, but like that just feels wrong. Fox, if you're using Rangers power play, I think makes the most sense. Otherwise, Keandre Miller 3,100 is a good play. Trouba, if you have like 45 to 5,000, I don't mind him. He's a good peripheral DFS player.
Yeah, Keandre Miller's price came down. He was the guy we talked about yesterday. He's the guy that I'm looking at again, 3,100. I'll say Adam Fox, he looked like a different defenseman last night than he did last year, and he won the Norris last year. And I mean that in a good way. Like, he looked more assertive offensively. Like, he looked more like Cale Makar and less like Dougie Hamilton, if that makes sense. And I think that's awesome to see from Fox. Either goalie in this one, like Braden Holtby starting, I think that's probably a big reason why we like Rangers too, right?
Yeah, I'm not in on Holtby. Igor, I like if you're using Rangers. Always with Dallas, like pace and shots on goal kind of concerning. 7,900 for that. I think if you're correlating Rangers, that's fine. I don't know if I'm going to go out of my way to one off of Igor though.
All right, yeah, I agree with that. Let's move it along. New York Islanders 2.6 implied goal total are going into Carolina. The Hurricanes have a 2.9 implied goal total. The Hurricanes have been jumbling their lines around a lot all through preseason, but it looks like the latest iteration has the top line of Sebastian Aho with Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Martin Necas, and then the second line of Vincent Trocheck, Andrei Svechnikov, and I'm missing one. Trocheck, Svechnikov, and Teravainen. That's right. That entire second line of Trocheck, Svechnikov, and Teravainen are fully correlated on the top power play unit. I think that's probably going to draw some ownership, but it's not really a great spot. So what do you see here, Josh?
Yeah, this game's kind of like an MME type thing for me. Like Carolina 2 is fully correlated. They're nice, 4 or 5%. I don't know if they're going to be a primary focus for me. The Islanders are a good team defensively. They get Anders Lee back from that injury. That second line was good all last season. Now they added the GOAT, Zach Parise. I mean, on that third line, he's just cinder block. So maybe going after that third line might be a thing. But, JGP is, a decent player. Wahlstrom should only improve. So It's a low total, so I think in MME you can have. My favorite line is Carolina 2. I think you can go there. Carolina 1, they're going to be even less owned than Carolina 2. It's never too early in the season for Marty Netchus, so I think you can go there. Their power play correlation isn't great, but and that for that reason, I like Carolina 2 more. Carolina 3, I'm not a huge Jordan Staal guy. It's hard for me to play Jordan Staal on slates with more than 3 games, so I'm probably out on that third line. On the Islanders side, you see the Islanders percentages, they're all coming in under 1%. So, that top line looks pretty good. This is a tough matchup, but, it is Freddie Anderson. You never know with Freddie. He can, get yanked after 9 shots. He can have a 41 save shutout. With the Leafs, he was always like the man in October, or he was always terrible in October. So who knows? Like, this game just screams like 2-1 shootout. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. For me, it's the Islanders' second line. Perfectly correlated on the power play, and like you said, coming in with almost no ownership. Like they're coming in at significantly less ownership than Carolina 2. Like Carolina 2, they're not even high. They're coming in at somewhere between 4 and 5%, and like you said, the Islanders are coming in somewhere under 1%. So. Are coming in at 0.5%. So like literally they're like by magnitude of 10, they're going to be much lower owned. So like, I'm not going to go crazy over Islanders too. I'm probably just going to have maybe 1 out of 20 lineups or something like that, but I will make sure to have some of them. But I'm just not excited about this game at all. Like I agree with you. I think we're going to see a lower scoring game. If I was to stack anything from Carolina, it would probably be the top line, because like the top line losing Jordan Eberle, I think that's a big loss. Like he is a very good transition player. Like he's very good at transitioning from defense to offense. And Kyle Palmieri's not. Kyle Palmieri's just a shot bot from the slot. So we'll see how that top line does. But yeah, I'm not super excited about anything here. I might just have a little bit of Islanders too. They were a really good line last year, right? Last year, 2.5 expected goals for, 1.9 expected goals against. It's like a 57% expected goal share. That's just really, really good. So yeah, I do like that Islanders second line. On the blue line, anything sticking out to here to you? Obviously, Noah Dobson, 2,700 top PP. Tony DeAngelo, 3,500 top PP. Anything else?
I think, I'll save Noah Dobson for another time. I mean, at 2,700, if you want to play him, at his price at top power play, I think that's fine. I'll wait for a better matchup. Like most of these Carolina guys, like, are really good price, like Slavin at 3,500, Ethan Bear top pair 2,600, Brady Shea 3,300, Brett Pesci 3,400, Tony DeAngelo top power play 3,500. The only one I'm really like just cross off is Ian Cole. So like there's a bunch of guys in Carolina that you can fit in. It's a personal preference if you want to one off.
Yep. All right. I agree with that. We have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NFL season to bring you some great offers, all of which you can find in the links in the description of this video. First, we have an exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit, and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you've played in your first paid contest, and we will reach out to you via email with your coupon. If you need immediate access because you want to play today, email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up. Just to emphasize one more time, this offer is for new Yahoo users only. You can also claim a free $10, which can be used to enter any Yahoo contest, including our Awesemo special for NFL Week 6, which is awarding $10,000 and a year of Awesemo Plus Platinum to first place. That's fewer than 2,000 spots available, so hurry up and enter right now. Make sure to use our premium DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. So that's, if you want to go play over on Yahoo and you've never played before, just go ahead and sign up through the description in the link below. All right, let's move it along. We've got 4 games left to get to. This is the first one. Arizona, 2.5 goal total going into Columbus. Columbus has a 3.0 implied goal total. I think you and I are kind of on the same players in this one, so I'll let you lead the way.
Yeah, at first I was like, yeah, man, Torts is out of Columbus. Now I can start looking at them again. I'm like, oh, crap, this is going to be a bad money pit for me because there is a lot that, like, if these stick together that I'm going to – because they're so cheap, they're pretty good. If you want to use that top line, Line A, Texier, Voracek, that's fine. But for me, I really like the second line, Roslovic, Bjorkstrand, Nyquist. The Coyotes don't exactly have anything that scares you in terms of forwards defensively. Jacob Chikrin's really good, but he doesn't play 60 minutes. He may get close a couple times, but he's not going to be out there. And then like after that, like their defensive pairings, Shane Gostisbehere on the second pair, like, yeah, he's decent on the power play, but defensively not great. So this is a good spot for Columbus. Carter Hutton's not a very good goalie. So yeah, Columbus 2, I really like. Columbus 1, I think if you want to play them, that's perfectly fine. I also like Columbus 3, Jenner, Sillinger, and Domi. They don't have great power play correlation, but they're so cheap, and they're going to get depth of the Coyotes, which is just who knows.
Watch what you say about Dmitry Yaskin around these parts. Thank you very much.
Dimitri's the man, but he's playing with Antoine Roussel and Jay Beagle, who's somehow still in the NHL. So, poor Yaskin. Get him in the top 6. What are we doing here? We're going to start rioting pretty soon. But yeah, I like Columbus 2 is my favorite. Columbus 3, even as a filler, and some Columbus 1. On the Coyote side, I mean, the top line is forward correlated on the top power play, but it's Lawson Krause. So, I mean, like, that doesn't really excite you. But I guess, they also are coming in over 5%. So I'm kind of out on the forwards here. If you want to one-off Keller, I think that's fine. You want to use Dmitry Yaskin to burn some money. I think we save it for when he actually has line mates that are competent in the NHL. For me, on the Coyote side, it's all about Jacob Chikrin.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Arizona because I was kind of interested in them. Like they were a team we talked about often last year, but then I looked at their ownership and I was just like, no, I'll pass on that ownership. I just want to bring up you talked about Jack Roslovic and Oliver Bjorkstrand. They scored 2.5 goals per 60 minutes together, skating together on Columbus last year. Like that doesn't sound great, but I'm pretty sure Columbus as a team was at like 2.1. So like they were wildly outscoring the rest of their team. And they're skating together again at 5-on-5. Like we do have their ownership high a little bit. But they're under 10%. They're really cheap. I think this is a good matchup. Like Arizona, one of the reasons why we avoided Arizona in the past was Ronta and Kemper. Both of those guys are gone now. Like I have no concerns about that Arizona goaltending anymore. So yeah, I'm with you. I like Columbus too. Give me some Zach Werenski along with that. That's where I'm going in this game. Anything else you need to add?
Yeah, blue line is really Werenski or Chikrin or get out kind of.
Well, we should mention Connor Timmins because it looks like he's getting power play time for Arizona at mid price, but I mean, again, it's power play time for Arizona. So how much that is actually worth, that's up to you guys. All right, let's move it along to our next game. Tampa Bay, 3.6 implied goal total going into Detroit. Detroit has a 2.4 implied goal total. Small lineup change for Tampa Bay. They've moved Patrick Maroon up to the third line. The entire Tampa third line now is stone min price on DraftKings. You can stack them for 7,500. How about that? Top line for Detroit looks to be Larkin, Bertuzzi, and Lucas Raymond. All right. Tampa burned us a couple nights ago. What do you have here, Josh?
Well, the first thing we're going to have to note that Lucas Raymond must have made quite an impression on Mrs. Blashill if he made the roster and he's on the top line. So, but this is not the spot for them. Tyler Bertuzzi, like he's not going to be playing in certain road games. So who knows how long that line sticks. If you want to one-off an Adam Ernie, but like you're just picking at straws here. Like for Detroit, I'm kind of out on them tonight. If you want to have some of the top line in GPPs, if you're 150 maxing, I think you can do that. But for me, I'm pretty much out on Detroit. If you want to use the top line for Tampa, that's perfectly fine. Like these elite lines, we talk about it. They're going to be owned. They're expensive. It's a matter of personal preference for you. If like you want to go point Kucherov and leave off Palat and put in Stamkos, that's an extra 1,100. But like for me, like I really like Tampa 2 here. They're cheaper. Yeah, maybe they're going to be a little bit higher owned, but you get Killorn and Stamkos top power play with Cirelli, who we talked about before. I really like him. I like that as a full line there. Other than that, like I think really from this game, it's mostly just Tampa 2. I'll take pieces of Tampa 1. And then on the Detroit side, there's really nothing that I'm excited about playing.
Yeah, I want to mention Tampa too, because it was a question brought up earlier by Super Chat Nick. The thing is that it looks like they're probably going to get line matched against Detroit's second line. And Detroit's second line is Zadina, Fabry, and Pius Suter. Now, Zadina and Fabry, when they've played together in their careers without Dylan Larkin, 31% expected goal share. Any other center but Dylan Larkin, and they're just getting absolutely trounced. I don't have a ton of faith in Tampa too, and it does look like they're going to be a little bit over-owned. But I really like that line. I like that spot. I like, the ownership it's high, but it's not crazy at 13%. Yeah, I do like Tampa 2 here tonight. Detroit 1, what I will say is that if the line matching holds from last year, they could see Tampa's bottom 6. And, that might be a situation where people kind of get excited. So I'm probably not going to use Detroit 1, but I wouldn't begrudge anybody for actually using them. On the blue line, anything here except for correlating with your stacks?
The one thing I will mention, Chernak, McDonough, both under 3K, which seems like a misprice because McDonough was like 4,700. And Chernak was like 3,600. I like that pairing. And then I don't know, the Detroit side, like Nick Leddy power play 1, like Blast Hill's living in the 90s, but I'm, nothing really for me on Detroit side. I will say Uncle Ned in that if you want to get spicy in GPPs, 7K, he's going to see some volume for sure.
Yeah, super cheap goalie at 7K, and we like our super cheap goalies here. All right, we just have 2 more games to get to. Just want to remind everybody of our promo here with the promo code crosscheck, all caps, all one word. If you want to get a 75% off your first week of Awesemo plus NHL. Before we get out of here too, if you could like and subscribe, be sure to hit that subscription to make sure to help grow our channel, and click that little bell if you want to get notified whenever we go on the air. All right. Seattle, 2.7 implied goal total. Going to Nashville. Nashville, 2.9 implied goal total. Our boss, Jake Harry, was raving about Seattle in our Slack chat this morning. Should we talk him off the ledge or should we join him?
I'd never talk Jake off the ledge. I'll push him off. Nah, but like in GPPs, it makes sense. Like that top line looked pretty good the other night in Vegas. Jaden Schwartz, super cheap, 3,200. The problem here is ownership. Coming in over 10%, 12, 13, 14%, it does worry me in GPPs a bit. But this Nashville team on paper isn't great defensively. Yeah, Yossi's still there, but they lost Ellis, which can't be understated. Like he was one of their best defensive defensemen. So yeah, it does make some sense going to Seattle 1 here. I worry about ownership on a 9-game slate here. Second line, if you want to use Donskoy, Barry Boulet, they're cheap. It's a cheap 2-man. They're coming in around 1%. I think you can do that. I don't know if you want to pay 5,300 for Wenberg to go with that. And then again, Ryan Donato, 2,700. He scored last game. I think, there's some pieces here on the second and third lines you can get at a pretty low ownership. That top line I do like, but ownership's a bit concerning. On the Nashville side, Ryan Johansson, 5,700. Lock button. No, he should be 2,700. Like this is just so overpriced. That's taking me out on that top line there. If you want to go to the second line, Tolvainen, Granlund, Luke Kunin, their ownership is okay. But again, like we talked about on opening night, Seattle, they're going to be a pretty good defensive team. So I'm kind of out on the Preds tonight. If you want to have a sprinkle of them in GPPs, if you're MMing, I think that's fine. For me, it's, I'm on the Preds side, it's probably going to be mostly Yossi.
Yeah, I don't mind Nashville 1. I'm higher. I think Matt Duchene's going to have a bounce back season. I think people are writing him off way too quick. I think he's just kind of unlucky in a shortened season last year. Same thing with Philip Forsberg. Ryan Johansson, I'm less high on. But yeah, I mean, they're at home and they're going to be on the top line, top power play unit for 17-3 at 2%. I'm probably going to try to get them at least in one lineup. But Seattle, what I noticed about Seattle's ice time in their first game is they played their top 6 a ton and the bottom 6 not a lot. It was like 20 to 21 minutes for the top line, like 18 to 19 for the second line, and like 10 to 14 for the bottom 6. So if you're going to play Seattle, I would probably stick to the top six. I don't mind the second line, but like you said, 5,300 Wenberg is tough to stomach. I don't even mind like dumping down to the third line. Like you said, Donato, I don't mind Morgan Geekie either. I like, that's a little too, man. I might try to find myself putting in here tonight. So Seattle 2 and 3 here for me. We had a question about UC Saros. How high is he on your goalie depth chart here tonight?
I like him tonight, but like, I know Seattle scored a bunch of goals in Vegas, but like shot volume is going to be concerning with them at some point. So like 8K, I think if you're using Preds is fine. If you want to consider him in cash, I think it's okay as well, but he's not a super high priority for me tonight.
All right. Just want to mention that coming up after the show, we have the Yahoo Thursday Night NFL show with Adam and Greg. So if you want to stick around for a little bit of NFL talk, that'll be coming up here in 5 minutes or so. We're going to get to this last game real quick. Vegas, 3.1 implied goal total going into Los Angeles. The Kings have a 2.5 implied goal total. The Los Angeles Kings, their entire top line looks to be on the top power play unit. Vegas is just coming off a win. What do you see here real quick, Josh?
Kopitar is going to get the Stevenson line. The Kopitar line defensively is not what it was in years past, especially with Arvidsson there now. So I do really like Vegas 1. The Danilo Kempe follow line should be pretty decent defensively. So for that reason, I'm going to be underweight, which I normally am anyway on Vegas 2. If you want to use Vegas 3, I think that's fine. They're super cheap. If you want a 2-man Patrick and Dodonov for power play 1 at 5,200, I think, that's fine. On the Kings side, I don't really like going into the Stevenson, Pacioretty, Stone line, so I'm out for the most part on Kings 1. Kings 2 is a bit interesting to me, but they're kind of wait and see because their power play correlation isn't great. And then Kings 3, you got some guys on power play too, but their minutes early in the season are probably going to be pretty good, big concern. So for me, really, it's just Vegas 1 for me in this game.
Yeah, I like Vegas 3 here. 1, it's the price, and 2, it's the matchup. You have a lot of young guys in the Los Angeles bottom 6, and I think Vegas can take advantage of that. So I do like Patrick and Dodonov here tonight on the blue line. Too many expensive defensemen here to do anything other than correlate, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you have salary, Martinez is fine. Pietrangelo is fine. He's a bit pricey, so I prefer Martinez. If you're using Vegas power play, Theodore is fine. But on the King side, they're non-power play guys are too expensive for me.
All right, I'm gonna ask you for your hat trick pick. I'm gonna say my hat trick pick for tonight is Sam Bennett, and I also like Cal Peterson as one of my favorite goalies on the slate. Who do you like?
I'm gonna say Bjorkstrand.
Bjorkstrand. All right, there you go. Oliver Bjorkstrand and Sam Bennett are your hat trick picks. All right, for producer Chris, for Josh Harris, our single entry assassin, I'm Michael Clifford. Thank you everybody for joining in. Don't forget to stick around for a little NFL talk. We'll be back for some NHL on Saturday morning.